When you hear the map Hightower, the first things that probably come to your mind is Trolldier Heaven and players endlessly complaining in chat about the gibbous pyro trying to cap for the 56th time. And as someone who's been playing TF2 for over 10 years now, I've definitely seen my fair share of chaos and shenanigans in this game. And over time, I've tended to notice certain stereotypes tied to specific maps more than others, just like how 2 Fort is home to the friendly Hoovies. But today, I'll be focusing specifically on Hightower and the stereotypes you'll often find during an average casual match. But now, if I happen to miss a particular stereotype, like the penis bleed scout who throws mad milk at you and then kill binds, please don't come for me. I'm only covering the ones I've personally seen most often in matches that I've played. And of course, credit the soundsmith for inspiring this video, as it's based off of his stereotype series. An obvious disclaimer, this video is entirely for fun and shouldn't be taken too seriously, as there's always exceptions to these stereotypes. But with that being said, let's get into it. First off, I'll be covering the general map stereotypes, and by this I mean it usually applies more to the type of player than it really does to a specific class. So the first one I'm gonna cover is the anti-capper or the non-capper. It's not officially a Hightower match without someone in the chat spamming "don't cap." These guys actively oppose playing the objective and will do anything in their power to stop you, and I mean anything. In 8 out of 10 times you play a casual Hightower server, you'll find these guys. They are a core component of the Hightower culture, and they won't ever play in community servers since they won't get any casual XP from it, or because they say it's not the true TF2 experience. Usually they want the match to be at least an hour or longer, so they have had enough time to farm points before even thinking about capping. But these guys generally range from simply asking you to stop capping to all the way to calling you slurs and trying to vote kick you. Depending on how many of them there are, they themselves may get kicked, or they might kick who's capping. But most players playing Hightower are already aware that the match will be pretty much indefinite, but these guys are a staple of Hightower's culture and pretty much will always exist. But overall, these guys could scale from server to server, but they'll always be present. So these guys either have a contract or are new, and don't know that this is going to be the longest match ever. If you have a contract on this map, I am truly sorry, as everyone will be screaming at you, or you will even get kicked. But if you're a new player, you're going to have to learn the hard way, my friend. The Hightower is one of the few maps where playing the objective is just frowned upon. Often they will go pyro, and then heavy to cap, as they probably have tried to cap already 50 times now without success. Half the times though, these guys will get kicked depending on the lobby, but you can't really blame them. It naturally makes sense to play the objective, so if you see these guys, please don't kick them or just let them know better. Usually finding friendlies on a Hightower server is kinda uncommon, but it does tend to happen. It usually starts off with 2 Hoovies, and then the rest of the server slowly diverges from combat to being friendly. These guys usually have a heart for others and want to make others smile and laugh through being chaotic and wacky. They are chill and down to earth and usually just want to have a good time with the others. And for some reason, on Hightower specifically, it usually doesn't last the whole match, as that one pub stomper in the server shows up and kills the fun and hard resets the server back to the chaos that is Hightower. It's not the true TF2 experience without one. I was originally going to make a try-hard version stereotype of each of the classes, but I decided that no matter what, there's always going to be one in the server. They're no fun to play against, not because that they're good, but it's because they're just so serious. You will most likely find these guys camping on top of the tower or somewhere in the back of the map. They usually don't see any voice lines or chat in the server at all because I guess they're aura farming. But these guys of course take the game too seriously, convey no emotion or personality, and of course they're just not chill. Okay, so these guys are kind of funny, and I wish I'd seen them more often. You will tend to find these guys every once in a while, and usually they will start complaining about a certain item after they've died to it a few times. But personally, I've seen someone call the Islander a crutch, the man treads a crutch, and say playing Trolldier is for noobs. Yeah, usually these guys can't stand that someone's doing better than them, or jealous that they can't use the weapon as good as them, so they make stuff up in their head to justify themselves to feel less insecure. Don't ever take these guys seriously or try to have a rational conversation with them. It's literally going to start killing your brain cells. Alright, so now we're on to the class stereotypes, and the first one we got up is the Scunt. So these guys are inevitable and unavoidable. You are bound to find one of these guys, and they're no fun. Typically they run no cosmetics to master hours, or they have decked out loadouts. They are super aggressive, serious, and usually pretty good, and once they have you in their sights, they're not letting you go. They for the most part will always kill friendlies and ruin all of the fun. I will be doing laps around the whole map, scanning for everyone and anything to shoot and kill. Scunts are not chill and don't show any real traces of human remorse while playing, and should not be shown any mercy towards them. This was actually a new stereotype I've noticed after reviewing throughout all of my Hightower footage. I don't think scout players intend to do this, but it just naturally tends to happen in most of the matches I've played. So our herd scout is just a bunch of scouts in a group of 2 or 3 running around the same path of Hightower together for a bit, and then honing the same target, and then all branching off from each other, then to meet up again like a bunch of squirrels. I can't really say a stereotype for this, but I guess these scouts are cool and have like an unspoken romance thing together. They're pretty cool and they're not that toxic. And also home to the Trolldier main. It's not the true Hightower experience if there isn't any Trolldiers flying around the map. It's basically guaranteed if you're in Hightower that you will see one of these guys. Their skill level could range a lot from fresh out of level 1 jump academy walls all the way to short hop and b-hop Jesus. No matter their skill level though, these guys are chill and easygoing. If they see another Trolldier, more than likely they will forget about everyone else in the server, and they will just be having a friendly duel with each other for the rest of the match. Oh, and if you're capping, they usually won't be vocal or upset about it, but they will do everything in their power to stop you, and they will rocket jump towards the payload Mach 10 to get that person off that payload. But overall, these guys are chill AF and never really toxic. These guys are basically Scunt / Trolldier hunters, especially if they're running reserve shooter. They're either here to practice their air shots, or they're here to be an asshole because they can't play Trolldier well, or on the side chance they switch to direct hit to kill the mini sentries. Usually the ones running gunboats have respect for Trolldiers and will try to MG here and there if they can, and if they're running reserve shooter, more than likely they hate Trolldiers and want the world to burn. Besides there usually being a try-hard version of a pyro present on the map trying to flare punch you, the other pyro type you will encounter are the Cliffside Pyros, and as the name suggests, they're usually always by the cliffside of the map, waiting behind that wall, waiting to air blast players into oblivion. I won't lie, it's funny, and when it happens, I can't really be mad. They also are super easy to bait and often fall for flanks, and they're also pretty helpful to turtle NGs. These guys are pretty cool and get an A in my book. By this I mean that these guys will have the sticky jumper and base jumper combo, and will have either one of the funny melees from the objective with corn on it, caber, or the pan. They won't be caught without a funny melee. You'll probably find these guys just harassing the battlement snipers the whole match, and also just coming out of nowhere and just random critting you, and then randomly kill binding. They also will have some sort of brain rot name, and they will say the spy line into bloody sentry line and then taunt. These guys are chill and are just playing for memes. If there's no Trolldiers present on the map, then you're probably going to see some Demonites shrimping in the air. Almost most of the time you find them, they're going to have at least 3 or more heads already, and they're going to be a pain since they seem to show up out of nowhere or conveniently corner you. These guys could be a real pain to take down, but luckily the Giver Scout crits him twice with a fish and he wins because, you know, plot armor. But overall, Demonites are pretty cool and you can't be mad at them unless they manage to reach you when you're already 20 feet in the air when you rocket jump. But otherwise, yeah. These guys usually appear when there's a Trolldier getting to them or they want to troll the Trolldiers. So these guys will usually use the Scottish resistance and place stickies around doorways and just chokes, waiting for Trolldiers to land and use their stickies. These guys work really well with battlement snipers or NGs and could turn into a real pain. They are also really dedicated to stopping Trolldiers and will probably be in the battlement room just camping the whole match and occasionally peeking out to bait them over with their pipes. But these guys think they're super funny and untouchable in their silly little room until I hit them with the craziest short hop. So this one is pretty common on Hightower. If you see a heavy, it's about a 50-50 chance it's going to be a fat scout. They will use the family business or rarely the stock shotgun if they're serious. These guys want to play scout at a slower, more tanky pace, and with all the health kits around, fat scout is pretty effective on Hightower. These guys are nothing crazy, but they have some good aim, and if they're using the stock, then they might actually be crazy. I can't say else much about these guys, so I'm gonna say they like playing fat scout, but only on Hightower. The golden rule of Hightower is to never build any mini sentries, but here we are. These guys despise fun, and hate existence. Bonus points if they run the Widowmaker and Frontier Justice too. These guys love watching the world burn, as they keep spamming down mini sentry after mini sentry while the chat screams, just keep fueling their sick motives. And for some reason, I don't know if everyone just shares one single brain cell or something, but everyone will be aware and complaining about the mini sentry, but absolutely no one is going to get rid of it, expecting someone else to. And like 10 minutes later, there's still the same mini sentry and has like 20 kills on it. And as a Trolldier main, you can clearly tell I'm not biased or anything, but if you're putting mini sentries on Hightower, you know exactly what you're doing, and there's a special spot for you in TF2 hell, you absolute piece of. Unlike their evil twin brother, the Turtle Engineers are wholesome and keep to themselves. They have one goal and purpose in mind, and it's to protect whichever spot their sentry is placed in. It's always in one of these three spots without fail every time. And these guys will not move from their sentries at all during the match. If their sentry gets destroyed, they will place it back in the same spot, even if the payload card is already at the end. If you see these guys, protect them at all costs. They're too precious and wholesome to lose. These medics are useless most of the time, especially on Hightower fall maps, since they're so vulnerable to Trolldiers, scouts, and snipers. Depending on the type of player, most battle medics I've seen will refuse and ignore to heal anyone and die countless times. They literally see you're dying and choose to fight the brass beast heavy with a stock syringe gun, rather to heal you. These guys are usually just throwing, goofing, or in the scary scenario, think they're pro medic mains like a Ray 7, when really, they're being delusional. These guys will never leave the battlements throughout the whole match and are often just trying to duel the other battlement sniper on the other team. These guys are also super oblivious and have often no awareness of anything going on around them. They will also die dozens of times to the same Trolldier over and over, failing to counter them until they get a random crit. And for whatever reason, these guys will always have 100% crits on their melees. And also often of the times you could tame these guys actually by just showing signs of being friendly, like crouching or taunting. But overall, these guys are super chill and easygoing and a core component to maps like Hightower. Okay, so these guys on the other hand are a force to be reckoned with. There's a good reason for why you don't see these guys glued onto the battlements like their distant cousins. These guys are walking around everywhere and anywhere on the map, and they're not afraid of anything. They often don't miss their shots as they have over 10,000 kills on their sniper rifle and have godly aim. Sadly, they exhibit hardcore try-hard behavior and are not chill, but it is still massive respect to play sniper outside of the battlements. These guys will either be the scariest spy you will encounter or the funniest, and luckily most of these guys don't have good aim. They will be disguised as a scout or medic for whatever reason, and they will be using either stock or ambassador, and attempt to gun spy, then miss all their shots or hit a random crit, from across the map of course. If they happen to miss all their shots, they will then fail the trick stab and finally die to a random crit for the cherry on top. These guys usually don't pose any threat to anyone unless you're on low health or they have over 100 ping. Alrighty, so that sums up most of the stereotypes you find in Hightower, and also a few things I want to say is that if you made it to the end here, I appreciate the hell out of you. I know I'm not no soundsmith, but I really want to keep the TF2 scene going strong as long as I can. If my little take on this series does well, I wouldn't mind doing other map categories as well. And also, I have a Trolldier Discord server where we hold monthly events and giveaways, and I now have a Trolldier only TF2 server up and running with map rotations if you want to know how crazy that can be. I left the IP of my Discord server in the description below if you want to check it out. But anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next. Yeti cancel out.